All right, I think that's pretty much everyone. We're ready to go. My name is Oliver Maruda, and I'll be sort of your MC host of this virtual tasting. Welcome to this evening's Cazcabel Australian launch. Hopefully everyone's got their kits. Just some quick house rules. So we'll do Q&A towards the end. If you have any questions, just put it into the live chat, and then we'll just get to those questions at the end of the session. It'll take roughly 45 minutes to an hour. There'll be a short little game after the Q&A as well, but the team will explain that how it goes. And that's basically it. We're recording the session as well, so if you do need to drop off or rewatch it later, Amelia and the team will send you a link to YouTube tomorrow morning to basically watch the session. And yeah, enjoy yourselves tonight. Any questions, put it into the Q&A. Otherwise, we're going to hand over to Luke Frost, who's the Australian General Manager of Proof Drinks, is a local distributor here of Cazcabel. Luke, over to you. Let me just unmute you. There we go.
Thanks for that, Oliver. Evening all. As Oliver said, my name is Luke Frost. I'm the General Manager of Proof Drinks Australia. I'd personally like to thank you all for joining us tonight for the media launch of this amazing tequila range, Cazcabel. Considering the time it's taken for us to get to this point, it's supposed it's a great shame that we couldn't have you all here in person to experience the excitement and flair of the brand yourself. But in the current climate, we've had to resort to Zoom. So with us tonight, you might see them in the corner there. We have one of our directors, Drew Doherty from Proof Drinks Australia. All the way from UK, we have Lucy Cottrell, Cazcabel's marketing manager, and of course, Nat, the global ambassador, that's going to take you through the brands tonight. You know, unfortunately, they've also missed a prime opportunity to be here. So talking about evolving trends, Cazcabel, whilst it's not well known here, and that will soon change, trust me, it's currently responsible for 25% of total sales in the UK through Amazon UK. It's also one of the most misforced SKUs and one of the most gifted. So why is that significant? Everyone has to remember that UK was in lockdown last year, so e-commerce became extremely popular with channels sourcing alcohol. So this popularity has now extended into the on-premise, and it's got a massive demand there. So you can understand why we're so excited and so hyped to be launching this brand here in Australia. It's a trending brand in other markets. Now, having worked with a number of tequila brands across the last decade, I can honestly tell you that I've never seen a brand looking to invest or to create so much noise around a category, especially when comparing an investment to market share. But, you know, us here at Cazcabel, we've got some really ambitious goals of becoming one of the leading tequila ranges. So look out for that in the coming years. So you can understand why they're kind of serious about creating awareness in the category. So about the brand itself, Cazcabel is a handcrafted tequila range that is produced in the highlands of the Mexican state of Jalisco, where all tequila is produced. It's also the home of mariachi. It's currently being produced in a micro distillery, but that changes next year when we open our own doors to our own distillery, and that's going to be very exciting. Can't wait to get there. Every batch is carefully crafted by 4 generations of tequila producers. So you can kind of say they know what they're doing. It's in their blood. Don't want to steal too much of Nat's thunder because he's about to come on. But let me just say, Cazcabel is the highest quality product inside and out. You know, it's fun, it's innovative. When you look at the bottle, it's finished off perfectly in a beautifully embossed bottle that will look fantastic on bars and also in your home, at your home bar. And, you know, the bottle will bring you in, but the liquid will keep bringing you back. So we're going to jump over to Nat now, who's standing by at his beach shack over in London. He's going to take us through this amazing brand. As mentioned, Nat is the global ambassador for Cazcabel and has worked with tequila for many years. He's also experienced tequila production firsthand when he traveled through Mexico, somewhere I bet we all wish we could be right now. But enjoy the night of sampling, and hope you learn a lot about this awesome product. Thank you.
Good evening, guys. Lovely to meet you all. As Luke said, my name is Nate. I'm the Global Brand Ambassador for Cazcabel Tequila, and I'm going to take you through our amazing award-winning tequila range. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Don Cazcabel and the inspiration behind our brand. So Don Cazcabel is a legendary medicine man, or the snake man of the Jalisco Mountains, and Cazcabel actually is a shortened version of rattlesnake. And basically, he inspires all of our tequilas including all our flavored range, and using things within Mexico and from the land, and using his basically his sort of training in Olmec, Tolmec, and Aztec medicine. And that's where the inspiration for the brand came. And you'll see it in the embossing. When you see a bottle firsthand, you'll see the bottle has the embossing of the rattlesnake around the label. Ooh, slowing down a bit. And then you'll see little bits of the botanicals and things like that inside the snake itself. So the first thing we're going to look at today, the first one we're going to try, is our Blanco tequila. So this is our tequila Blanco. This is our original product and is our original product and is one of our favorites, one of my favorites. It is made of 7-year-old blue Weber agave. What we're going to do, what I want to encourage you guys to do is, while I'm talking, we're going to drink it. So if you pour a little bit out, you should have about 100, I think you've got 100 ml bottles somewhere. So just pour a little bit out into your glasses. You're going to need some for the Paloma we're going to make together after we've tried it. We'll have it out and give it a smell. So we use autoclaves when we're producing our tequila for a lighter, more sort of more floral, fruity led tequila. You often get tequilas that are a bit farmy and quite robust, and this is more delicate. And it's a great way to introduce people into the tequila category. And therefore, with you'll see the tasting notes on the screen. But for me, you should get sort of lime sherbet, a little bit of zest. You'll get that agave flavor, that cooked agave. You'll also get a bit of black pepper on the finish. I'm loving this because it's 8 o'clock in the morning. So let's swirl around your mouth, have a taste, and hopefully you'll pick up all those aromas. It's quite creamy, but it's still very soft, very smooth, and it works really well when making cocktails such as margaritas. Palomas also works really well with tonic water, and I would recommend all of you, if you've got some left for tonight, you can chill out and enjoy a tequila and tonic at home. So that's our Blanco. But now we're going to make a Paloma. Now the Paloma is the traditional and national drink of Mexico. Paloma means dove, and it was created at La Capilla, which is a little tiny bar in Tequila Town. So you can build this or you can shake it. It's entirely up to you guys. I'm going to build mine, and we're going to do it step by step. So hopefully you guys have your grapefruit juice ready. You'll have some soda water and your Blanco tequila. Okay. So what we're going to do, first off, we're going to add in our 60 mils of Blanco tequila. There we go. And then once we have our Blanco tequila in there, we're going to add in 60 mils of our grapefruit juice. So you can also, at this point, you can also add a little bit of, if you want to sweeten it up, you could add some agave or some sugar syrup. So we're going to add in 60 mils of our grapefruit. And traditionally with a Paloma, with a lot of Mexican cocktails, we also like to add a little bit of salt. So I'm going to add a little bit of spring of sea salt. That is optional for you guys. But if you've got some to hand, please grab it and put it in. So we're going to add it in there. And we're now going to fill it with ice. So with any cocktails as well, you want to make sure you're using plenty of ice. We don't want to over dilute too quickly. We're going to fill it up. I'm going to get my spoon. We'll give it a quick stir. And then we're going to top it with some soda water. It's a very long, very refreshing drink, perfect for a hot day in the summer. Great for after work. And you guys all have some dehydrated fruit. You can use dehydrated fruit, and we will do that tonight. But equally, you could use fresh. You could use orange, or we love pairing it with fresh pink grapefruit just to elevate the grapefruit flavor. So we're going to take our garnish. So we should have their garnish. I'm going to pop it in. And a little straw. And there you have it. This is our Paloma. So anyway, guys, absolute pleasure. Oh, that is delicious. So that's our Paloma, using our Blanco tequila. You can see you'll get the grapefruit flavors, you'll get a little bit of that salt coming through if you put it in. And also it's quite fresh, refreshing, and you should taste the Blanco. You'll taste all that agave, the lovely agave notes coming through. So that's for you guys to sort of sit and savor and enjoy while I talk to you about the rest of our range. So the next one we're going to talk about is one of my absolute favorites. It's my favorite category when it comes to tequila, and this is reposado. Reposado means rested, and traditionally it's a minimum resting age of 2 months in American white oak barrels. And basically we have a blend between 9 and 11 months. So we take it a little bit further than most producers. And this is where the color comes from. So it's not to be confused with gold tequila, which is basically Blanco tequila with caramel or additives and things. All this color and all the flavor comes directly from the bottle, from the barrel. I do apologize. And so what we're going to do is we're going to pour this out, and we're going to have a smell and have a taste. So you want about 20 mils, 50 mils. So with our repo, you should have a wonderful aroma coming through. It's slightly softer. It's all that time it's spent in the barrel is rounding everything off, and it's taking on more of that cupped agave flavor. So it's a little bit sweeter. It's a little bit softer. Works really well with your stone fruits and your your softer citruses, such as orange, apricot, peach, things like that. Working in sort of the whiskey-esque side of things. So if you're a whiskey drinker, you're not used to drinking tequila, this is a really good gateway into the category. Looking at stirred down drinks such as Negronis or Fashions, things like that, and it pairs really well with food. Traditionally in Mexico, it's drank neat next to tacos and gorditas and things like that. So you would have it as you would with wine, basically. And that's our reposado. Cool. So the next one is our award-winning honey tequila. So this is unique to Cazcabel and unique to us. And this is, like we talked about with Don Cazcabel, it's inspired by what was around and what he would have used in his medicines. And also it's all about using the land. And therefore we created basically one of the world's first honey tequilas. So this, we tried the Blanco and the Reposado, but this is a little bit sweeter, as you can imagine, using honey to basically to sort of increase that agave and that wonderful sweet note. So this is a lot sweeter, so just be prepared when you drink it. But it goes down really smooth, especially when it's chilled or poured over ice. You can also use it as a modifier in cocktails. So when you're looking at things, spritzes, hot toddies in the winter, you can pour it over ice cream. That's also delicious. So if you want to pour a little bit out and have a smell, hopefully you'll get all those wonderful honey aromas. You'll also get the agave coming through a little bit. We always wanted to make sure that you could still taste tequila, that it was still tequila forward. But because it's a little bit softer and sweeter, this is really, really good for getting people that are adamant that they don't like tequila into the category. And that's part of what we do. It's part of what I do, and I love educating people and getting them excited about tequila. But we all know, we've had experiences with tequila. I don't think I need to say too much with that. But basically, this will help get people, especially your friends and family, into the category. So have a smell. You should get massive hits of honey and a huge like burst of flavor. And then you'll feel it's quite viscous, quite thick. So hopefully you like it. Like I said, a great modifier, great for sipping neat over ice after dinner, almost like a digestif, as you would any liqueur. Cheers, guys.
Nate, whilst everyone's sort of catching up and trying all them, is there a correct way to sample tequila neat?
So the best way to sample neat tequila, basically think of it as any sort of premium spirits or whiskies. For example, you want to give it a good smell, a good nose. You want to sort of do it from your sort of sternum upwards rather than shoving it straight in your nose. And then you want to swill it around for a couple of seconds and then swallow it and allow all those flavors to open up and sort of improve, expand in your mouth. And that's the best way to enjoy it, either in a fluid glass like this or in a rocks glass, ideally. Yeah, that's how I would drink it. That's how I recommend it.
We're getting a lot of comments. The honey tequila is the crowd favorite, I would say, at the moment. So well done.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Also, if you guys wanted to try this as a longer drink, so one thing that we're really passionate about here at Cazcabel, and one thing I want to do is get people drinking tequila, throughout the evening. I probably can't say throughout the day, but somewhere in between that shot and the cocktail side of things. So if you wanted to drink the honey tequila as a longer drink, you could definitely try it and pair it with ginger beer. So ginger beer traditionally, obviously, associated with rum, but ginger beer works very well with honey because, especially the spicier ginger beer you get, you can add all that, bring all those flavors, and it sort of cuts through that sweetness. You could look at margaritas. Honey margaritas work very well. You just have to take out the agave syrup if you're making a Tommy's, and just do honey tequila and lime juice. You can also add a little bit of triple sec in there or some apricot brandy, and then you're going to add in all those flavors and bring it all together. It's a little bit like when you're making drinks or when you're cooking. What grows together, goes together basically. So you have that, apricots and things like that will go really well. You could use it as a replacement in a bee's knees, for example, a traditional gin drink, but you could throw in the honey tequila in there, dial down the actual honey syrup itself, and then shake it up and enjoy it.
I was just about to say, we've got a few comments coming in. This is the new bee's knees, as well as a potential penicillin.
Yes, definitely a penicillin. Yes, one of my favorites. Combining two, delicious honey tequila and peated whiskey. I want penicillin now. Well, I'm glad it's a firm favorite. It's definitely a firm favorite over here. We absolutely adore it, and it is one of the biggest selling SKUs that we have in the UK. It's especially for the bartenders as well. Bartenders are really starting to get behind it. They love blancos and reposados, but they've never really had anything like this before. And I did a training session yesterday in London, and it's this one and our coffee that seems to go down really well. So yeah, cool. There we go. So we're now going to talk about our coffee tequila. So obviously, we are very fiercely passionate about our flavors, and we wanted to make sure that we were using flavors found throughout Mexico. And that's the whole point of what we're doing. We're inspired by Mexico, and therefore we want to use produce that is Mexican, basically. And so we take our Blanco tequila, and we then flavor it with luxury Mexican coffee. And therefore, we also cut out the sugar, so we're less sugar than a couple of the other brands. But it's still got that sweet edge. Basically, for me, it tastes a little bit like cold brew coffee with sugar in it. So almost a longer version of cold brew coffee. And you'll see when you smell it and when you pour it out that it's a little bit thicker. And it is a perfect accompaniment to an espresso martini, which we're going to make together. But you can also, again, drink this neat over ice. You can chill it down. You might think I've got an obsession with ice cream, but I also like pouring this on ice cream too. Think of like a boozy affogato. So you basically, get some vanilla ice cream, pour some Cazcabel coffee, give it to your friends after dinner, and guarantee it'll be a hit. So if you smell it, you'll get all the wonderful sort of chocolatey, almost chocolate orange aromas coming out, and that's from the luxury Mexican coffee, because it's naturally got that chocolate aroma to it. So give it a smell, give it a taste. Hopefully you like it. So we sort of wanted to find the balance between like bitter sort of espresso, that bitter quality in espresso, and pair it down with the sweetness as well. But we didn't want to go too far the other way and make it syrupy and sort of too sugary. We want to keep the natural coffee flavor coming through. So that's our coffee, and we love it. And to go with that, I'm going to show you guys how to make a very simple, very easy espresso martini. Now, espresso martini is one of the most popular cocktails around the world. I was lucky enough to work with the man that created it. Not when he created it, that was a very long time ago. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to take our cocktail shakers, or if you don't have a shaker, anything that you've got a lid, so you should have a shaker, excellent. If not, just use a jam jar or a Tupperware, as long as the lid seals so you don't get covered in espresso martini, all right? So we're going to take our coffee tequila. Okay, so we're going to do 60 mils of coffee tequila. There we go. We're going to take 60 mils of our coffee concentrate. There you go. Now, I don't have coffee in my, I don't have coffee, I don't have sugar in my morning coffee. But if you enjoy a little bit of sugar in your morning coffee, this is when you can add it in. So if you wanted to add in 5 mils of sugar syrup, for example, now would be the opportunity to do so. But obviously, if you like that punchier, sort of bitter flavors from the coffee, then you don't need to add it in. We're then going to fill this with ice. And a tip when you're making cocktails, if you're new to making cocktails, always fill your shakers with ice. Okay, we want to control that dilution. So we're going to fill our cocktail shaker. We're going to seal our tin, and we're going to shake. And if everyone's ready, I can see a couple of people. We can shake together. Hopefully, I'll time this right.
Nate, before we kick off, what's the correct way of shaking so we can all do it at home the right way?
That's a very good question. So basically, the correct way for me when you've got a cocktail shaker is 2 hands, okay, and then you want to do it over your shoulder, and you're moving your shoulders, moving your arms rather than your shoulders. So we go backwards and forwards, and we shake like so. And then basically you keep shaking until it's really cold, so you can't hold it. Okay. The beauty of using coffee, especially, is it expands in the shaker. That's where you get the beautiful foam. But basically, you can keep shaking until it's ice cold. You want to make sure that you're shaking it really hard. Okay, so we're going to keep shaking it. And it's all about the power stance, guys. It's all about planting your feet, making yourself look as cool as possible. All right. Cool. So if you've got a 2-piece shaker like this, if you've got a 3-piece, you just have to unscrew the lid and pour it out. If you've got a jar, just open the jar. With these shakers, basically you want to find the little sort of seal, and then you're going to use the flat palm part of your hand on your palm, and you're going to hit it. Now, hopefully this will come off in one, otherwise I'm going to look silly. So we're nearly there. There we go. And then we pull it off. And there you go. And it comes apart. It does take practice. It took me a long time. When I was a very young bartender, I used to have to go home and put peas on my hand because I'd hit them so hard. So once we've got that, what we're going to do is we're going to get our strainer. So I have a julep strainer here. 3-piece shakers will have a strainer built in. If you don't have a strainer, basically you can split pour. So you just put both tins together and pour it out. So what we don't want is we don't want huge chunks of ice. We're serving this straight up. So we're going to pour this in. There we go. And you should start to see, if you let it settle down a little bit, you're going to start to see it forming the lovely foam on the top. So if I bring it slightly closer to you guys, there you go. So you'll see it start to form at the bottom. All right. And that's how we get the lovely foam.
That's the money shot right there. That looks great.
There you go. That does look good, doesn't it?
How's it taste?
With orange. Now, traditionally, obviously, and the espresso martini is garnished with coffee beans, but we want to elevate the chocolate and that orange, the citrus notes of the coffee. So we're going to use some dehydrated fruit. You can use fresh fruit. So you could take an orange and then basically take out the zest and spread the zest over the top. But I'm going to put this very gently and very delicately over the top, like that. There you go. So that's our espresso martini. There's a lot of foam in there. So hopefully you all enjoy that. I'm a big fan of coffee. Hopefully you guys are as well.
We love our coffee down under here. Got some comments coming through. Smart liquid, 2 ingredients, espresso martini, insert clap from Curtis. I totally agree. Sounds great.
Thank you very much. Well, this is it. Cocktails, especially for the when you're at home or you're on the go. We can't all have access to high-end cocktail bars. Well, I mean, I get the privilege of being in them, but yeah, if you're at home, it's super simple. Put it together, and you impress your friends and family, and you can literally just knock it up. You can also make them in big batches if there's only 2 ingredients. But thank you very much, Chris.
Super tasty espresso martini. I'm a fan. Delicious. Now my pandemic lockdown coffee of choice.
Oh, that's very true.
There we go. Got some thumbs up from that one. Before we jump into the Q&A, actually might take this opportunity to ask you, first of all, can you give us a quick overview of how tequila is made? Then actually, I believe you actually spent some time harvesting as well. Maybe share some stories.
Yeah. I did. So tequila, essentially, I'll put it into a nutshell for you. There's sort of 4 stages to making tequila. So first of all, we need the plant, we need the agave. And basically we harvest the agave. The humidors are the masters of the agave plant. They know by sight, smell, and touch, basically when this plant is ready and when it's mature. It takes 7 years for our agaves to come to maturity. So if you think about wheat and sugarcane, you can harvest those pretty much all year round. We've got to wait for this beautiful plant to soak up all the sun and become super delicious. And then basically, I don't know if you can see, but behind me there's an agave plant here. I've also got one on my arm, because why not? And basically we need to take the leaves out. So we use something called a koa. So koa is a big stick with a half-moon sickle on it. And you take the outside leaves out. So you very slowly, and jima is a Mexican Spanish slang to shave. So we're shaving the agave plant, which take all the outside leaves. The leaves are incredibly thick, very spiky, full of fibers. It's quite difficult. And I'm glad you brought this up, so I can tell the story of how I always wanted to be a humidor. I've learned so much about agaves. I thought, yeah, I can do this. I'm gonna nail it. And I'm in a field with a load of bartenders, and I get handed a koa and an agave plant. I'm like, cool, I got this. And what they don't teach you, is don't take the bottom leaves out, because the moment you take the bottom leaves out, this thing is round and starts to roll. So basically, I put my foot on it, and this thing's very sharp. And luckily, I didn't take my foot off. But basically, you hack into it, and it's actually a lot harder than you think. They make it look so simple. They train for 15 years, and they literally just do it in 45 seconds. Is the quickest I've ever seen it. But basically, you take the leaves out, so you have the heart, and then basically you want to cook that. We need to roast it to release all that wonderful sugar, turning all the starch into sugar. So what we do is we use an autoclave. So we use a steam pressure cooker, basically. And traditionally, you could use brick ovens. So direct heat source. So think about it a little bit like when you're roasting a leg of lamb. In the oven, low and slow, you get all gnarly on the outside. If you put it in a pressure cooker, it's a lot softer, and you get more. So we get a softer, fruitier, more sort of floral tequila. That's a modern technique. And then basically, once you've roasted it, it's around 26 hours, about 94 degrees. We're converting all that starch into delicious sugar, and that's the sugar we're going to ferment. But before we ferment it, we need to extract that sugar. So we have our cooked agaves. We now need to mill it. And we use a traditional Tahona wheel. So one massive volcanic rock carved into a wheel that goes around a big pit. So we throw the agave hearts that are cooked in this pit, and this big machine brings it around, and it crushes all the agave, releasing all that juice and bringing out all the fibers. And that's basically going to create our wash. And that's what we're going to use in our fermentation process to create our tequila. So we then gather up all that juice, all the delicious sugary agave liquid, and some of the fibers, and we throw them into our basically fermentation tanks. And we allow all the natural yeast in the agave fibers and in the air to go into the wash and start the fermentation process. I'm going to assume everyone understands fermentation. If you don't, basically yeast eats sugar and produces alcohol, also produces CO2 and a lot of heat. That's why if you ever go to a fermentation warehouse, it's very hot and all the little bubbles start to appear. And it's once the bubbles stop, that's when you have your agave beer, essentially. And it's around between 5 to 7% ABV, depending on the time of the day and when it started to ferment. We then take that ferment and we distill it in our copper pot stills. And to be tequila, you have to distill twice. Okay, so first is ordinario, and then the second distillation, that's when it becomes tequila, and then comes off the still at around 55% ABV, give or take, and then we dilute down with our water to produce our blanco. That's how you produce tequila in a nutshell, basically. So we harvest, we cook, we mill, we ferment, and then we distill, and that's tequila. Seems simple enough, but you got to remember, you got to wait for this plant to mature, and you still need to know a little bit about distilling.
Thanks for that quick summary and overview. That's super interesting, and very lucky of you to actually head over there and actually, get the harvesting done and see it made firsthand.
Oh, it was amazing. I love Mexico. It's like my spirit land. I fell in love with it a couple of years ago, and then being able to go back pretty much year on year, obviously not anytime soon. Hopefully next year would be great. And I would love to take everybody to Mexico. I always promise everybody can come with me at any point. So just give me a ring and we'll go. We'll hang out in Mexico.
Just call Nate, your local travel agent. He'll look after you. Flights, everything covered, Nate.
If anyone is ever going to Mexico, let me know, and I'll happily send you some recommendations on where to drink, where to eat, what to do, who to go see. Obviously, Cazcabel, you're always welcome. So I'm just going to sort of wrap up Cazcabel and why you should be drinking Cazcabel. Not only because it's delicious, but it's a range of high quality tequilas, and we're all about sort of combating the reputation of the category. I said earlier, I touched on it, that people do have a sort of an aversion to tequila, and we wanted to bring people back and recruit new people as well, and bring people into this wonderful, amazing world of tequila. These guys have been making it for 4 generations, but tequila itself has been going for several hundred years, and it's a beautiful liquid that needs as many people to appreciate and enjoy it. It's high quality cocktails as well, so we're elevating your drinks. We wanted to produce a range of tequilas that will give you amazing, delicious tasting cocktails. Also, we're really, really proud of our flavors as well. We think they're quite innovative and authentic, especially when we're talking about using the flavors from inspired by Mexico and Don Cazcabel and the land and what's around us. And it's really important, especially when you look at what we're trying to achieve with our tequilas. We use tequila from agaves from the Los Altos region, so the highlands of Jalisco, and that gives it a softer, like that sweeter flavor, and therefore it's more approachable. So you can, sip it and savor and enjoy. And our bottle design as well is something that, it's there to emulate the premium nature of our tequila, and also showcases Don Cazcabel's connection, to the land, to Mexico. And when you do get your bottles, when you see them on the shelves, you can pick them up. They're quite tactile, and that's for bartenders, so they can hold it, they can grip onto it, but also so we can showcase just how passionate we are about Mexico and about tequila and the products that we use and the liquids. So that's a little summary as to why we should all be drinking more Cazcabel tequila.
Awesome, thanks, Nate. Might open up the floor to questions. If you have any that you want to put into the live chat, great. Otherwise, I might actually open up the floor. If you do have a question, just put your hand up, unmute yourself and say your name, and then ask Nate what your question is. Any questions coming through? My first one, whilst we're waiting for a question to come through, is what barrel did you use for the second tequila that you presented that is matured in?
Cool. So for our reposado, we use American white oak barrels. So American white oak has a high vanillin content. So traditionally, obviously, with bourbon production, they can only use the barrel once, and then they get shipped off to either Mexico, Scotland, and to Japan. And so we use new American oak barrels that have traditionally only ever been used once. We sort of rechar the inside and caramelize all the sugar before we add our blanco.
Awesome, thank you. Australia gets a lot of ex-bourbon casks for our whiskey here as well, so
very true.
We would love some ex-tequila casks, if you can send any down our way.
I'm sure we can sort something out. I'm sure we can.
Any questions for the floor? Any hands? I've got Curtis.
Hey, yeah, it's a bit of a double barrel one. So in Australia, man, we're kind of struggling to get a lot of tequila down here. We find we're running out of a lot of stuff, and because we're running out of the reposados and whatnot, we kind of go back to the blanco for a lot of the margaritas. In your opinion, in the Cazcabel range, would you suggest going straight to the Blanco for a classic margarita? And then if you're going to do a Tommy's margarita recipe, what would you use as the base of your range for that drink recipe?
That is a brilliant question. So interestingly, actually, I would always go for a classic margarita, go for the Blanco. And then for a Tommy's, use the Reposado. So the Tommy's traditionally, when it was created, was a Reposado tequila. But either will work. I think with a Tommy's, when you use Blanco, you get a little bit of a fresher, more citrus-heavy Tommy's. Whereas if you use Repo, you get more of that cooked agave coming through, especially with the agave syrup. So yeah, no, I would definitely go with the more classics with the Blanco, and then a Tommy's with the Reposado. It's interesting. I think there is with getting supply and things, there is always a talk of an agave shortage, and there's always a talk of things sort of coming out of Mexico, and it's interesting because the agaves take so long to grow, and they're so we've got to think about sustainability as well, and we've got to make sure that we're replanting and we're looking after these plants. And also, there's a lot of people, and we're looking into it and trying to sort of work with our producers to create more sustainable options to grow our agaves so we don't run out, and so we have plenty more for the future generations. Because these plants are essentially, they're cultivated and then also little clones of each other. So one disease that can hit the mother plant can wipe out its entire brood, which isn't going to happen anytime soon. But we've got to think about these things and really sort of plan for the future. It's not like I said, wheat and sort of sugarcane. You can just grow it and put it in, and it'll do its own thing. You've got to really take care of these plants. Hopefully that answers both questions. I know the first wasn't really a question, but I thought I'd cover it anyway.
Thanks, Curtis. Got a few questions coming in on chat. First one from Monique saying, are we seeing a rise in tequila demand here in Australia?
Definitely.
Okay, then Luke can answer that.
Yeah, it's I'll jump in and answer that one for you. There has been demand in the last few years. You can see that people are starting to tend to taste more white spirits at the moment. I think last year there was a 5% growth in the tequila category. Depending on super premium tequila really saw some massive growth last year, and particularly Blanco. People traditionally tried the Reposados, but now they are moving back towards Blanco, and you're seeing a lot of tequila bars and restaurants actually starting to move back towards Blanco when they're doing their margaritas, kind of like what Curtis asked. So they're actually starting to use a bit more of a breadth when they're actually using tequila.
I just want to add to that as well. That's a very good point, Luke. In the UK, I've seen a lot more people go back to Blancos. We had a whole so for many years, especially when I was working behind the bar and working and running cocktail bars, we always went for Repos as our pouring. And I think the quality of Blanco has increased so much more. And there's so many amazing Blancos out there now. And they're really challenging the category because white spirits, traditionally your vodkas, your gins, things like that, we know and understand. And Blanco tended to get pushed to the wayside because it was seen as a cheaper alternative. And actually, you get so much flavor from a Blanco, and it's a little bit, you can change it up and do different things with it versus the slightly heavier Reposados, which is why we say, Blanco with tonic is something we're trying to get people and encourage them to try it. You got that vegetal herbal note from tequila that you get with gin, so why wouldn't it work with tonic? And it's great, but especially after work, you want something long, refreshing. You want to sort of chill out with your friends, sitting out on a terrace somewhere. Especially with you guys, you get sunshine, and you can and then sip and enjoy it. And I think Blanco is definitely the future. I certainly love Blanco, but I'm a traditionalist.
Thanks, guys. Next question from Nicholas. Is tequila ever aged in other types of barrels, e.g. port or wine barrels?
Yes. Yeah. There are a couple of producers that will either age in port or sherry. So there's a couple of the old tequila houses that have started playing around. And it's interesting that there's no real law around what barrels you can use with tequila. So we're starting to see a lot more innovation coming through. So there is a brand that uses port casks, for example, and sherry. There's also brands that I do a little bit of work within the proof range within the UK, and it's called Storywood, and it's aged in tequila, in whiskey barrels from Speyside. So they take tequila, Blanco tequila, and they take it to Scotland and they rest it in Speyside barrels from Dushdown. So you get that wonderful combination of agave, rich agave, like fruity, sort of spicy notes mixed with this really sort of classic sort of orange marmalade flavor you get from a Speyside whiskey.
It's super interesting and great to see the innovation. That's, a lot of Scottish distilleries, very strict rules, same with American bourbons, but the tequila industry, we can, a lot of room to playing around and making unique flavors, which is great to see. Next question was from, hopefully I'm pronouncing this right, JD Graff. Are tequila plantations like vineyards in that age makes them better?
Yes. To a certain extent, terroir does come into it and does play a huge part in tequila. Agaves they're both very hardy and very delicate little things, and they love certain types of soil. So it's got to be the soil in Jalisco. You'll see it if you Google or if you've ever been lucky enough to be there. You'll see it's bright red. I'd show you, but our sand isn't red, but it's almost like rust color, and that's because it's high iron content. It's full of minerals. And therefore the terroir does. So you'll find that a lot of the older tequila houses and especially the agave plantations that we use in the fields, they've been growing there for a couple of 100 years. So it does definitely help. And all those natural nutrients get fed back in with the fibers and things that we don't use in the distillation process. We put back in the field, so almost like regenerating the soil. So definitely a good question. It definitely does help with age. A lot of the older farms, especially around Tequila Town, so the agave farms tended to start to spread out because we needed more space. But the ones surrounding Tequila Town and Arandas, which is another little town and an area within Jalisco, have some of the oldest. There's one that's about 300, 400 years old, with it's got incredible mineral content within its soil. And we always try and make sure the bartenders don't steal the soil. And try and replicate it.
So it's a tough life for soil stealers out there, I guess.
Yeah.
You go ahead, go mate.
I know it's because if you look at there are a couple of parts of the world that people are starting to experiment and grow agaves in that have a similar soil quality and mineral content. I did some research, and I don't know if anyone's ever been to Wales. But basically in the Brecon Beacons, it's the same elevation and the same content in the minerals in the soil in Wales as it is in Mexico. The only difference is it's far too cold. We don't get enough sun. So yeah, so it'd be interesting if you're really into your agaves and your agave spirits to start seeing where new agave spirits are coming out of. They can't be called tequila because they're not made in Mexico and they don't follow the rules. But you'll start to see a lot of things coming out of different countries around the world.
Fair point. Really important question from Monique right now, and I might hand over to you, Luke. Where can we buy this delicious tequila range? Where's it stocked?
So we're stocked at Dan Murphy's, and we're also stocked at BWS nationwide, so all over Australia. So Dan Murphy's and BWS.
The full range through Dan Murphy's, and then selected SKUs through varying BWSs at the moment.
There you go. Thanks, Luke.
All right. What else? We've got a few other questions. Nicholas also said, feels like there's a looming tequila boom here, similar to what we saw with gin over the last 5 years. Is this capacity for reinvention thanks to the flexibility of the rules around how it's manufactured, unlike whiskey or bourbon?
It's an interesting question. Yeah, it will be. There'll be an element of that. And I think people are starting to look for new and exciting spirit categories to explore. I think we've all been given so many options, so many choices of vodkas and gins and rums over the years, and I think tequila is definitely about to have its heyday. And it's great to see it growing, especially globally. It makes my job very, very interesting. But I definitely think that there will be a big boom. We're definitely seeing it in the UK. It's been tipped as like the agave has been tipped as the next big thing for 5-10 years, and I've been waiting very patiently for that to happen. But yeah, hopefully you'll start to see it. And I think it is because of the the rules, and also there's more money going into Mexico, so there's more people able to export their products. If you go to Mexico, we get huge amounts of different tequilas and agave spirits in the UK and in Australia and around the world, especially in America. But there's also still another couple of thousand brands that are just localized in Mexico. So there's going to be even more opportunity to sort of get more different things out there, especially if you're looking at things like, well, obviously we're talking about tequila today, but you look at mezcal and all the variety of mezcals out there, you'll start to see a huge amount of money and export going into to get these amazing products out into the world so that people can try them.
Awesome. We've got a few questions coming in terms of when's it available, pricing. So Amelia from Agent 99, after this tasting or tomorrow morning, will send out all that information. I know all the bottles are available now to purchase, but yeah, pricing and all that will be shared in the follow-up email with the tasting, and then where it's available to buy, full stock lists and everything. So just any questions around that, just reach out to Amelia directly, but she'll be in touch. I think we've got time for maybe one more question. Otherwise, we might kick off with our awesome game. Any last questions from the floor? Hands up. Last going. All right. Looks like we're done. Question time's over. Let's play this wonderful game, mate. What have we got in stock?
Amazing. So we're going to play the Loteria. Now, Loteria is a traditional Mexican game. It's very similar to bingo, except they basically use pictures. They use cards instead. So you guys will have got two the tablet sheets. So we're going to start with one, see how we get on. And basically, Loteria it's all about high tempo, high energy. Where you guys are sadly still in lockdown, and we wanted to give you something a bit of fun and show you also one of the assets that we have within Cazcabel that could be used at home or within a venue somewhere, and really all about sort of celebrating tequila and Mexican culture, and also learn a little bit of Spanish as well. So it's educational as well as fun, guys. So basically what we're going to do is you can win a bottle. So we'll make sure that whoever wins gets the bottle. But basically on the screen now, you'll see the Loteria cards. And there's 52, so it's playing a deck of cards. There's 52, they're all different pictures, and they all represent certain things to do with either Mexican culture or the tequila making process, or just wonderful words that we love to use. So in terms of rules, guys, okay, so we're going to play for a full house. And basically, the first person to get their La Tabla sheet will win a bottle. And all you have to do is if you get a full house, unmute yourself, shout Cazcabel at the screen, everyone will cheer and clap, and you'll win yourself a bottle of your choice. So basically, what I'm going to do now is we're going to go through the cards. I'm going to talk to you about them. For specific ones, I will tell you a little bit about them, or if it's the tequila process or whatever, we'll talk about that. And you'll be able to learn a little bit of Spanish as well. So when you're playing the game, basically when a card comes up on the screen, and I'll read it out to you, you basically just mark it off on your sheet. Like you would bingo with a dabber, basically you're going to mark it off until you get a full house. Okay, whether that's an X or a line through it, or you can color it in, entirely up to you, but that's it. And then once the sheet is full, unmute, Cazcabel, winner. Is everybody ready?
Just a thumbs up if you can see the screen, just to clarify everyone. Yep, all good. We're ready to go.
Okay, let's play. So first one is El Corazon, heart. Heart. Okay, and there will be a roundup as well. This is Mañana, which is actually one of our cocktails, which is a combination of soda water, lemonade, and honey tequila. Super tasty. You should definitely try it. So Mañana. El Camion, it's truck. Means truck in Spanish. Actually, the name of one of the most popular tequila bars here in London. If you're in London, I'll take you down there. La Sal, salt. Can't have tequila without salt, although we don't recommend the whole salt and lime thing. But salt, it plays a huge part in Mexican gastronomy, and we all love salt. El Pareo, okay, which is basically a little Colombian bungee. El Arbol, okay, tree. Alacran, which you guys will definitely be very familiar with. We don't get them here, but scorpion. Bandera, I'm sure you can all work that out. That's flag. It's the Mexican flag, 3 colors. Bota, or boot. I'm wearing boots at the moment. I'm wearing Doc Martens in the sand. Don't judge me. La Botella, which is basically bottle. And there's our lovely little Cazcabel bottle there. So we're going to recap. So we have corazón, mañana, el camión, sal, pareo, árbol, alacrán. We have bandera, we have bota, and we have botella. So anyone close? Anyone won already? No? It happens.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
I have 2 sheets here. Should I only be marking one of them or both of them?
One of them.
Okay,
That
thank you.
Although, you know, yeah, one of them, please. Cool. We're going to do the next rounds. Okay. So, calavera. So, obviously, calavera skulls, very important to Mexican culture, especially around Day of the Dead. And people will paint them. And Day of the Dead in Mexico, very much like you know, Halloween, but it's all about a celebration of life. Rather than mourning someone's death, you're celebrating them, and therefore skulls play a huge part in Mexico, and especially in the Aztec culture as well. Skulls were revered as basically the gateways to the soul of the person. Okay, so pescador, fish. Okay, el Tajona. So this is the Tajona wheel I was talking to you about. It's a big volcanic rock, goes around a big pit full of agaves, pulled by, this is Silva, Don Cazcabel's donkey. We love Silva. She's our favorite employee. Yeah, El Tajona. El Apache, warrior. Yeah, it's an Aztec warrior. Very gothic. Here we are, Aranya. I won't make a joke about Australia and spiders. El Café. This is our an example of our delicious Mexican coffee that we use in our coffee tequila. Okay, next, Paragus or Paraguas, umbrella. And this is Yaras. Yaras, the arrows, not the dead guy. El Sol.
Cazcabel, I think I won.
Oh my God, we got a winner already. Hey! We're going to need proof though. We're going to have to see the, I mean, I will trust you, obviously, but have you got all of them?
There you go. Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
That is amazing. That is super quick, guys. Who won? Say your name.
Nick.
Hey, Nick. Congratulations. Well done, mate. You win a bottle of juice.
Thank you very much.
And Amelia from Agent 99 will sort that out for you. I would love to hand deliver it to you, but I can't come to Australia yet. So.
Next time.
Next time. But when I do, yeah, we'll sit down and we'll enjoy it together. So don't drink it all before I get there, okay?
All right. Deal.
Deal. There we are. And that's the Loteria, guys. The wonderful thing about this game is it can take all day or it can happen just like that. But there you go. That's the Loteria, guys. I've been Nick Sorby. I think we're wrapping up. But thank you so much for joining me this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you guys. I really do hope I can get out and come and see Australia very soon. Hopefully you guys are able to get out and about and start drinking Cazcabel in your local bars and restaurants, and also nip down to Dan Murphy's and buy the whole range so you can enjoy it over the weekends. All right. Thank you so much, guys. I'll hand over to Ollie, who I think is going to wrap everything up, or unless Amelia's got something she wants to say. But thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful evening. And yeah, this is Cazcabel Tequila. Enjoy.
Thanks so much, Nate, for taking us through those wonderful cocktails and just sampling the tequila and even the history and, you know, a bit of context, how it's made. That's awesome. Big thanks to Luke as well from Proof. So, yeah, that's it for tonight. Any questions? If you want to organize an interview with Nate one-on-one as well, if there's any follow-up, just reach out to Amelia. Nick, Amelia will reach out to you in terms of your prize. Congratulations again. That game, feel free to take it to all your parties, enjoy, share with your friends. It's a really easy sort of icebreaker and even fun to do virtually now that we're all kind of locked down at home. And yeah, just special thanks to everyone at home for joining us for the past hour. I hope you enjoyed tonight. And yeah, any questions, please reach out to Amelia. Otherwise, yeah, Cazcabel.